All right, learning target two is solving systems of equations by graphing. Um, so what this video will kind of do is show you some examples, kind of give you some reminders of things to be aware of or common errors, things like that. Um, and then hopefully that will be helpful for you as you try to solve systems by graphing. So what it'll kind of do is show you some examples, show you some notes, and then there will be opportunities for you to do practice problems, kind of pause the video, things like that. So this video is really just kind of a guide for you to go through these things. So you should have grabbed the practice problems page with a whole bunch of practice problems out of the folder. If you haven't done that, pause the video real quick, go ahead, make sure you grab that because part of the video will go through those examples. Okay, so make sure you grab that really quick. The first thing that we'll talk about is just graphing a line written in standard form, which is this y equals mx plus b form. Okay, so we've done this a lot of different times. Some people are still getting a little bit confused on it though, so I want to run over it one more time. The very first point that you'll put on there is the y-intercept. Okay, and the y-intercept comes from this b value. So whatever this b value is, whether it's whether this is a plus 5 or a minus 5 or a plus 20 or a minus 20, that'll be the first point that you put on your graph, is that y-intercept of whatever this b value is. Okay, so that's your starting point. The next point that you'll make uses the slope. So this m, the coefficient on x, whatever comes in front of x, that's the slope. So this slope is made up of the rise over the run. So that's where we're talking about, if you've made your first point, the rise is how much you're going to go up, and then the run is how much you're going to go to the right. And regardless of whether this slope is positive or negative, no matter what this is, if it's 3, if it's negative 3, if it's 100, if it's negative 100, you're always going to run to the right. Okay? So I'm going to go over a couple examples for you real quick, and then we'll practice with just graphing some lines like this for now, and then it'll get slightly more complicated. So here are a couple examples. And these are right on your practice problems sheet. So you can just go ahead and do these along with me as I explain through them. So the first equation, y equals 1/4 x minus 1. The first point that I'm going to put on there is that b value. So if we're thinking y equals mx plus b, it's whatever I've added or subtracted to the end of the equation. In this case, my b value is right here, is this negative 1. So the first point that I'm going to put on my graph is down here at negative 1. The next part that I want to look at is the slope, whatever comes in front of x. In this case, 1/4 comes in front of x. So what that tells me is that rise equals 1 over run equals 4. That's where I get the 1/4. So I'm going to go, from this point, I'm going to go up 1 and over 1, 2, 3, 4. I can go up 1. I don't have room to go over 4 again. It'd be somewhere around here-ish if I did. You can also kind of work this backwards following this pattern. So we can go down 1 and then 4 this way. Sometimes that's necessary to make a nice long straight line so that you're sure that the line is straight and so that it intersects. The next thing I'm going to do is just draw a nice straight line through those points. Okay. The second example over here, if we're looking at, again, we're looking at y equals mx plus b. Where b is our starting value, whatever's added onto the end here. So in this case, we add a 2 onto the end. That means I'm going to start my graph right here at y-intercept of 2. Once I have that point, I can look at the slope, whatever comes in front of the x. In this case, we just see a negative sign. That means that the slope here is negative 1. Okay, negative 1. Or if you want to write negative 1 over 1, that means our rise is negative 1, our run is 1. That means from this point we're going to go down 1 since this is negative. But be careful because when I do the run, remember I always run to the right. So it may seem like negative, okay, that means reverse it, so I got to go left. Don't do that. Okay, that's a very common error. So you go down because this is negative, but then you go to the right one, to the right one, to the right one, so that your line starts looking like that. Then again, last step, just draw a nice straight line through those points. Okay, that's a y equals mx plus b line. Next, we're going to look at lines that the equation just looks like this, like y equals 3 or x equals 5. Let me explain this Hoy-Vux thing up here for you for just a second, because it looks a little confusing. This isn't an actual word, okay? So don't try to like Google it or dictionary it or whatever. It's not a real word. It's just an acronym. The H stands for horizontal. Okay, so a horizontal line looks like that, just going straight across, left to right. The O, or the 0, means that this line has 0 slope. And the Y means that this equation is a y equals equation. Okay, so really the two most important things are y equals, and h, horizontal. Okay, so if you remember that the acronym HOY, all right, the H goes for horizontal, the Y goes for y equals. So any y equals line is going to be a horizontal line. So you see these examples down here. Y equals 10, that's going to be a horizontal line. Y equals negative 3 is going to be a horizontal line. Y equals 6 is going to be a horizontal line. Any y equals number line like this is going to be horizontal. So where you start this line, if I'm doing an example here of y equals 3, I'm going to start up here at 3, and then that's just going to be a straight horizontal line at 3. Okay, just like that. Over here, if we're looking at the Vux part of this, the V stands for vertical line. U is for undefined slope, and then X is for an x equals equation. So x equals 5, that line is going to be a vertical line. X equals 3, that line is going to be a vertical line. X equals negative 2, that line is going to be a vertical line. So what I'll do if I'm trying to graph this line of x equals 5 is I'll go over here to where x equals 5, so I'll go to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make a point right there, and then make a vertical line through that point. Okay, so all x equals lines are vertical, all y equals lines are horizontal. So if you remember that Hoy, hy, and the Vux, vx, that'll help you remember. Vertical goes with x, horizontal goes with y. So you've got three more y equals mx plus b type equations on number 3, 4, and 5. And then you've got one of these kind of other lines where it's not a y equals mx plus b, it's just y equals 4. Okay, so go ahead, pause the video, try these 4 on your own. These are on your practice sheet. Try these 4 on your own, and then unpause when you're ready to see the solutions. So here are your solutions. For number 3, we start here at 1, y-intercept of 1, so I start right there. I've got a slope of 1, so I'm going to go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. That makes my line. On number 4, we start here at negative 4, so I start down there. This 4 over 3 tells me to go up 4 and to the right 3. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, over 1, 2, 3, up 4 over 3, and then make the line. The number 5 says start here at negative 3. So I start down here at negative 3. And then my slope is also negative 3, which if I write that as a fraction is negative 3 over 1. That just means I'm going to go down 3 and to the right 1. So I'm going to go down 3 from here, down 1, 2, 3, and over to the right 1. If I work this backwards just so I have a few more points, you can kind of just follow that line backwards. And that'll be your line. The line y equals 4 starts right here at 4. And if we think of our acronym, remember we had HOY. So a y equals equation is going to be horizontal. So I start at 4 and just make a horizontal line right there at 4. Okay? The next part, of if you flip over your practice problems sheet, that will have these 6 examples on it. You're just going to solve each one of these systems by graphing. So we'll go through the first one together, and then you can do the rest on your own. So basically, when you're solving by graphing, you're just going to graph both of these equations on the same coordinate plane. So I'm going to start, for this one, I'm going to start at negative 4. And then I have a slope of 1 over 3. That's going to tell me go up 1 and to the right 3. So I'm going to go up 1 and 1, 2, 3 to the right. And that'll be sort of what my line looks like. My next one, I'm going to start here at 4. So start up here at 4. And then the slope is negative 7 over 3. So that means go down 7 and to the right 3. So go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. So this point is also on this line. Just going to go ahead and connect them. And we see obviously that they meet right here. So the last piece would be to just write the coordinates of this point. So it looks like 3 comma negative 3 are the coordinates of that point. So now go ahead, pause the video, try the rest of these on your own. When you're ready for the solutions, go ahead and unpause. Alright, so hopefully you were able to do most of, if not all of those on your own. We'll go ahead and go through the answers real quick. Looking at number 2, this top one is our blue line, the bottom one is our red line. They meet right here at 3, 4. Here's number 3. Again, our blue line is this top equation, and our red line is a y equals equation. So that's, since it's a y equals, it's going to be horizontal. So we've got this horizontal line there at right at y equals 4. They meet here at negative 1, 4. Alright, and this blue line was one that you kind of had to work backwards. So you started here at negative 3, and then you didn't have room to go down 7 and over 1, so you went up 7 and to the left 1. The next two, they meet down here at 3, negative 4. Number 5, these two lines are parallel. Okay, you can tell that they're parallel. They look like they'll never meet. Definitely not on this graph, at least they'll never meet. You know for sure that they're parallel because these have the same slope. So they're parallel, so that means there are no solutions because they are never going to cross each other. And the last one here, we've got our top equation there in blue, and our bottom equation here is in red. So they meet right here at -1, 3. And this blue one is again one where you had to work backwards. Started at -3 and then went up 6 into the left one because we didn't have room to go down 6 into the right one for that -6 slope. Okay, so hopefully you got most, if not all, of those correct. If you need to go back and watch maybe one or both of the example type problems from this video, definitely rewind and do that. Or if you want to see any of these solutions, you can rewind and do that as well.